My name is Rob McCarvey.
And how long have you been coming to St. George's?
I've been coming to St. George's since 2009.
My name's Bernadette Matthews.
And I'm Phil Moore.
What brought you here?
Well, it turns out I was engaged to a very nice lady whom I later married, and she brought me into St. George's. She was already a member here.
Great. And how have your life and faith been transformed by being here?
One of the big draws for St. George's for me was it was really something that the community itself really drew me in. I grew up with organized religion, and like most people in their 20s, I pretty much drifted away from it. Didn't have much need for it, I guess you could say. And even growing up, I was always there was always a sense to give back. I grew up with that in a family, and I was a Boy Scout, and a lot of those things, putting back to the community was important. But in previous churches, I don't think I had that feel. I never felt like there was that sense of togetherness, I guess, in a sense. But after coming to St. George's for a few times, and not necessarily of my own will, but trying to be nice, I guess you could say. But I really found a real sense of community and a sense of organization here, and a sense of worship, and that I think really changed the way I viewed organized religion. Even
we decided to show up for Mass on Sunday and check it out.
And what Sunday was that? Do you remember?
I can say. Okay, so we were actually church shopping, and so we reviewed the whole thing, and we decided to come to St. George. We looked at it, and it was the first week in October, and we got here for 10 a.m. Mass, and we're getting out of the car, and I am a huge dog lover, and we found out that it was the Feast of St. Francis, and you were allowed to bring all your animals to church. So I actually got to church, and we sat down, and I'll never forget, there was a beagle on the altar standing with the choir, and there was a gentleman that was also in the choir that had his bearded dragon or iguana or something sitting on his shoulder, and I really, I felt kind of silly, but I feel like I was moved to tears. I felt like this was kind of where I belonged, and if there was any more of a sign that could be than seeing a dog sitting on the altar, I can't think of what it could be. But that was it for me. I was home.
What St. George's does, what as a group, as an organization, as a community, is what they give back, and it fostered a sense that I wanted to belong here. I felt comfortable here since day one. I guess the old church, I felt like, was kind of a dying institution in a way too, where it's just people would come, but out of a sense of obligation. While here, I really do feel like people come and enjoy what we are all about. More people are involved than not involved, I guess you could say, at St. George's. It really is a community that everybody feels a need to give back in some capacity.
So you mentioned that you came here for the first time because your intended bride wanted you to join her in her worship, but you've moved beyond that sense of obligation, and you've taken on a number of leadership roles. Can you tell us a little bit about the leadership roles that you've had in the past couple of years?
Well, I was, I guess, just starting to get involved with a lot of the events we do at St. George's, a lot of the community things, and whether it's just in the kitchen or taking tickets for various events and things like that. And then that spitballed into I was elected to the vestry, and then I was luckily elected to accounting warden for the vestry as well. So I've moved up with the leadership a little bit, and it's something that, I mean, it speaks to that giving back, where it really, I felt great about my commitment here, and it's something that I want to see this community foster. I want to see things continue.
Year and a half ago.
So a year and a half ago, and the two of you have become pretty involved at St. George's. What are some of the things that you do here?
So I am involved in the Capital Campaign Committee, and we also are fairly regular attendance at Bible study on Wednesday nights, and we attend church pretty regularly.
I'm in the Bell Choir, which I joined about a year ago, and I am involved in the IHM, which is the Interfaith Hospitality Network. We go over to St. Mary's, a nearby Episcopalian church, and help with overnights and rehoming of families. And we do that maybe every other month, every month and a half or so.
And before you came to St. George's, would you say that you were big churchgoers?
I was an anti-churchgoer.
An anti-churchgoer?
Yes.
What was it about this place that maybe changed your life or changed your outlook on faith and church and the life of community?
So for me, the reality is I had no interest in joining church. I really wasn't even that concerned with getting married in a church. So this was more of a service to my fiancée wife. It was something that was important to her. So whatever. One of the immediate things that was appealing to me is we did pre-Cana with you, and you were married and had children, or a child at the time. And I felt that was very real for us. It was, I looked forward to pre-Cana, and that,
Me too.
I began at that point being drawn towards what was available here for us.
I don't know if your story, Rob, is all that unique among people your age. They tend to drift away from the church in their late teens and 20s, and then come back to the church, if they come back at the stage of life that you find yourself in now. What would you say to some of those people that maybe are a little bit younger than you that aren't involved in a community like this?
If a young person came along and asked me, like, what makes this community so great, and like what really brings in the vitality, I guess, of the church, and I'd speak to St. George's specifically, but it's one of these things that, like, you do feel a sense of family, I guess, in a way, and it does become a second family in a lot of ways. And it's not just the people; it's, there is a greater power beyond that, and it's a sense that you get with worship and with different events and just what we kind of put together.
And then you start to get to meet people, and it's a really, it's a medium-sized group of people, but there's a lot of very involved people, good people. There's not a lot of judgment going on here, that was a big appealing thing to me. And there's very few rules. So, to me, that was the big draw for what appealed to me.
And then when we had the opportunity to get married, I'm divorced, he's divorced, and we wanted to find a church that was okay with us, wanting to have a spiritual relationship with God and a community, belong to a community, and so the fact that it's okay to be divorced and want to attend church and be involved in church was very appealing to me. So, and then as soon as we found this church, I was really happy. And the more we came here, the more I felt like there was a message that I would get every time I came. Whether it was, first of all, I love the sermons. I have always felt that on Sunday, when you give a sermon, it connects.
It seems like you were looking for something and found it here.
Absolutely.
But Phil, you
Just
weren't
came along
looking,
for the
and
ride.
if anything, you were going the other direction.
I was a proponent. I was against. I was looking for. I was always selling why we shouldn't.
So what happened?
Yeah. So honestly, the first, I would say, even through when we got married, which was probably about 7 or 8 months after we first came to the church, we were already starting to get involved at that point. It actually became our church at that point. And I was really just kind of showing up. I was okay. I wasn't really feeling like super connected to the actual message. And then at coffee hour, shortly after that, I confided to you that, I don't think I really believe in Jesus Christ. I don't buy it. I don't buy the stories. There was a lot of it that didn't ring true to me. And there was no judgment. You didn't make me wrong about it. You didn't try and convince me why I should or nothing like that. And then you called me a couple days later out of the blue and asked if I'd be interested in having lunch. And that you wanted to just begin a dialogue. about Jesus and to see if it was something that you could help me get an understanding of. Woke up in a day. I just devoured it. And inside of it, there was a message about how Jesus was not necessarily put on this earth to die for our sins, but to be the embodiment of the written word of how to live our life. And it spoke to me. And it was a kernel, a germination of a seed that I could get my hands around to begin exploring, who Jesus was, and to believe that he was actually, God. So that was, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so ago. And I found myself since then praying more regularly. And there was one particular service where there was an anointing, and we had a transformation in our home where my son, who had not been a part of our life for over a year, is now living in our home. And I honestly believe it was the grace of Jesus Christ that brought him back in our life. I won't get into the details of what happened because it's a long story, but it was miraculous. So.